Hi, everyone. This is Stephen again, wearing glasses this time, but still Stephen. This is a video on, or slide presentation on ELL, or English Language Learning for Arabic speakers. This is another part of our series on language transfer. So the particular specific problems that speakers of other languages would have learning English, and specifically according to what their native language is, in this case for Arabic speakers. There's some challenges. There's also some opportunities, let's say, make it positive, for Arabic speakers learning English. Arabic is one of the most spoken languages in the world. It happens to be the fifth, come in five. Do you know what English is? It's not first, obviously. Mandarin Chinese, or the Chinese languages, that's a whole nother topic, but Mandarin Chinese is the most spoken language in the world. And then I think maybe Spanish for native speakers. So not the most spoken, but by native speakers, I think Spanish is number 2, English is number 3 maybe, and Arabic is number 5. So it's in the top 10, it's even in the top 5. And native Arabic speakers are found in the Arabian Peninsula, obviously Arabic, Arabian Peninsula, Yemen, Oman, Bahrain, those places, and Saudi Arabia itself, of course. The Maghreb, which means the sunrise, which is northwestern Africa. So that would be Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria, the Maghreb. And then the Levant, also known as the 3 countries of, I guess, Israel now, or Palestine, and Syria and Lebanon. So Israel and the Palestinian territories, and Lebanon and Syria. So some very troubled places, interesting places. And of course, Arabic is the religious language of the Quran, for Muslims, so the religion of Islam, which in Arabic comes from the root, which we'll learn more about, SLM, the Salam, like Salam or Shalom. It's related to the word for peace, and also submission, to submit to the Holy One. That's where we get the word Islam. Arabic in Arabic is Al-Arabiya. It's a Semitic language, so-called. It's still, we use that term, some do, or Afro-Asiatic language, more technically, but many people know them as the Semitic languages. Other languages in this language family would be Amharic, which is one of the primary languages, official languages of Ethiopia. I think it's the majority language in Ethiopia, I'm pretty sure, although that may be a controversial comment. But anyway, Amharic, Tigrinya, which is also spoken in Ethiopia, northern Ethiopia, and Eritrea. And we do have students who speak Amharic, and we do have students that speak Tigrinya. So they are related to Arabic, or Arabic is related to them. They're Semitic languages, similar in structure and phonetics. Hebrew, of course, which is spoken in Israel by Jewish people and other Israelis, but in Israel. And it's also the liturgical language, or the language of the Talmud and the Torah and the Midrash and those books, religious books. Aramaic, which is the language of Jesus, which is very closely related to Hebrew. It's also a Semitic language, so very similar in structure to Arabic. Same sound structure, some of the grammar is the same, morphology is very similar. It also works on a 3-root system, Arabic and Hebrew and Aramaic. They work on what's called a 3-root system of consonants. And then Maltese, and Maltese is a little tiny island, Malta, and it is the only European language, meaning spoken in Europe, that is also a Semitic language. And it is written either in Arabic letters, right to left, or it's written in, I guess we call those Roman letters, the European letters, non-Cyrillic, but Western Europe. And it is also a Semitic language, interestingly, but spoken in Malta. There are two main forms of Arabic: modern Standard Arabic, which is spoken by and understood by all educated Arabic speakers. And that is a distinction with a difference, because there are millions and millions and millions, many, maybe even the plurality of Arabic speakers, including some of our students, who are native Arabic speakers who cannot read and write Arabic, and who speak non-modern Standard Arabic. So this derives from classical Arabic from hundreds and hundreds of years ago. So educated Moroccans can speak and understand and be understood by educated Lebanese and educated Saudi Arabians and educated Egyptians. And that is important because there are many Moroccans, let's say, who speak their indigenous language, their Arabic, which is not intelligible by Egyptians, let's say, or by Arabians. So that is important to know. It's called Diglossia. There's two forms of that one language. And then, of course, there's literary liturgical Arabic, which is only used in the Quran, and unless they study it for many, many years, and like a madrasa, like a religious seminary, I guess we'd say in English, unless you study it for many years, people do not know this language, the language of the Quran, unless they're using it for a religious purpose. It's not used to go buy bread or to read a novel, let's say. So Arabic speakers specifically, that specific language at CMC, Catherine McCauley Center, there are 35, I'd say now maybe almost 40 listed. That's about 10% of our student population. 4 of these are listed as bilingual. Arabic is their second language. I would say it's probably larger because we do have refugees from Darfur. You probably heard there was many problems between the government of Sudan and Darfuris, the Darfur region, and they speak other native languages, Madab and other languages which are non-Arabic, and they will speak Arabic as a secondary language, like a school or government language. And then Somali is like a Semitic language, but it's not Arabic, but many people from Somalia will also understand Arabic. Why? Not because they're closely related, but because many Somali people go to Saudi Arabia to work, and they must use Arabic and learn it and know it and use it every day for their work. And Sudan, it is the native language of most Sudanese, and we have many Sudanese students. There is something we focus on for these language transfer videos, which is language transfer. How does a language transfer from native language to your learning language or your target language, L1 to L2 or L3? Maybe your L1 would be your native language, and L2 your target language or the language you're trying to learn. In this case, English. Our Arabic-speaking students or Tigrinya or Amharic-speaking students are trying to learn English. So a positive language transfer would mean your native language helps you learn your target language. Negative transfer is just what it sounds like. It would be a hindrance or a block. It would be difficult, make it more difficult to learn your target language. My first, second language, a heritage language was German, and English, lucky us who have the situation, English is a Germanic language. So there's quite a bit of positive language transfer, I would say, between native English speakers learning German, although there's a lot of complicated grammar for us learning German, the case system, which English used to have and no longer has. With this ring, I thee wed. That was the case system in English. It's basically fallen away. English is simplified, but German has maintained that. So that would be negative language transfer for someone like me learning German. For Arabic speakers learning English, there is some positive language transfer, but there is quite a lot of negative language transfer, I would say also. We will learn more about that. Zero language transfer would mean it neither helps nor hurts. It's more neutral. I talked about diglossia, glossia, I think it's from the Greek, speaking, or your tongue speaking, and di means two, like dimorphic, right? So diglossia are two forms of the same language. In Arabic, this is very prominent. This is a part of everyday life. If you turn on the TV, educated Arabic speakers, and I would say more and more nowadays, if you turn on Al Jazeera and it's in Arabic, people in Tunisia and in Sudan and in Lebanon will be able to understand it. And there are many, though, forms of Arabic called Arabic, which are mutually unintelligible. They are not understood amongst each other. So technically, amongst the linguists we are, if a language is not mutually intelligible, if it's unintelligible, those are technically separate languages. They're not dialects. So the British English, there are many Englishes spoken in England, but many Americans, people from Iowa, Wisconsin, like me, we can understand the Queen's English, so-called, received pronunciation, even though they're different forms of the same language. It's not really what diglossia is. Those are dialects of English. Diglossia would mean they're really separate forms of the one language. So it's written the same way, the grammar is the same, the morphology may be different, the word formation may be different, and pronunciation would be probably pronounced differences in the pronunciation. So that's why many of my students at Kirkwood and at CMC who are from Sudan cannot understand people from Morocco, let's say, who are speaking Arabic. They cannot understand it. So technically that is diglossia. That's also, they're both speaking Arabic, but they cannot understand each other. So Arabic is yet more complicated than we may have realized. So would this be negative language transfer or positive language transfer or neutral, zero transfer for learning English? So Arabic has some unique and ingenious features, wonderful features that simplify but also complicate language transfer. So we have hello, marhaban, marhaba, you could say salam, like in Israel. The related language Hebrew, you can say shalom, means peace, like peace be upon you. As-salam alaikum means peace be with you. So a very lovely way of greeting another person. Peace be with you, salam, shalom. Yallah, let's go. So here we have some native Arabic speakers from South Arabia, the country of Yemen, a very troubled, interesting country now, and Southern Arabia in the mountains, Saudi Arabia. So that whole region speaks what many Arabic speakers, native Arabic speakers say, speak the purest form of Arabic. So the least changed from many centuries ago. And also just a friendly reminder, there are many millions and millions of Arabic speakers who are not Muslim, although most are. There are millions that are not, especially in the Levant, like Syria and Lebanon especially, and Egypt, who are Christians. And there are even Maghrebi Jews who are from the Arabic-speaking countries who speak Arabic, and many also speak Hebrew. So as I said before, Arabic is the 5th most spoken language in the world. Almost 300 million, probably now 300 million speakers. And we can see all these in the different colors, the various forms of that one language, Arabic. So the Arabic speaking world is very complex. There are many variations on that one theme of Arabic. And you can see the vast majority of native speakers are in either the Arabian Peninsula, the Eastern Mediterranean, and North Africa. So Africa north of the Sahara mainly, but including the Sahara too, like Mali, Mali and what would that be? Niger, countries like that. Pardon. So Arabic greatly influenced Spanish for good reason, because the Caliphate ran what is now Spain, the Spanish Peninsula, for hundreds and hundreds of years, many, many centuries. So there are many, many, many Arabic words in Spanish now, almost all, or many, many, I'd say the majority of the al words. Al is the definite article in Arabic. So al-Arabiya, the al entered Spanish through Arabic. So many of the al words in Spanish come from the Arabic. So we have algebra, the same, algebra in English. Alcatraz, which means, you know, Alcatraz, a fortress. Alcohol, interestingly, of course, drinking alcohol is haram or forbidden in Islam, but it's also, Arabic speakers are the ones who develop the process for creating alcohol. That's where we get that word, alcohol. I don't know what it means in Arabic other than alcohol, what it comes from, the root. Swahili, which is mainly spoken as the lingua franca, many, many second language speakers of Swahili, they live in East Africa. So we're talking countries like Kenya and Tanzania and countries like that, and Djibouti maybe. There are many, many, and Burundi and Rwanda, there are Swahili speakers. And a lot of their vocabulary, not grammar, but vocabulary comes from the Arabic. So those Arabic traders which came centuries ago. The word for book in Arabic and in Swahili is basically the same, kitab, kitabu. English does have some words we get from Arabic, a lot of food words. So apricot, artichoke, coffee, cave, orange from naranja, arancata, those kind of words in the Romance languages, orange in English, and then sherbet, not sherbet, but sherbet, remember? That comes from the Arabic. So here we go, Arabic structure, the morphology or the formation of words. How do we create words in English or Arabic or any language? And then our famous verbs, right? We talk about verbs a lot. We use verbs constantly, of course, when we're speaking and writing. So in Arabic, like all Semitic languages are the main ones, and Hebrew and Aramaic and Amharic, I think. But certainly in Arabic, you have a 3-part root system. I know that's true in Hebrew too, in fact. You have a 3-part root system. And also in Arabic, it's good to know that we don't, or they don't, use the verb to be in the simple present. And this is also true of Swahili and many African languages, and even Vietnamese. There are many of our students speak Swahili, use Swahili as a second language or even first language. Many of our students speak Asian languages. We have Vietnamese speakers and Arabic speakers. They do not use the simple present verb to be. You don't need it. So would that be helpful or more of a hindrance in learning English? What do you think? So you can say something in Arabic, like she beautiful, she tall, they nice, they very nice people. That makes sense in Arabic. But that's like speaking Arabic in English words doesn't quite work, right? We need the verb to be. So that would be Negative or positive? Of course, that's negative language transfer. So maybe Arabic is more efficient than English, but it can make it a challenge to learn English sometimes. I have many native Arabic speakers in my classes, and frequently they will just drop the verb to be in the simple present. Why do you need it? They just, it seems redundant to them. So that can be a definite language challenge. So morphology, words, kalimat, kalimatan. So we have our three root system here, the ka, la, the KLM in English. We have that root. So from that root, originally way, thousands of years ago, it came from the verb to move your jaw. So to bite or to chew, and that developed in Arabic to the root KLM, which is a root of words, and to speak, I think, related words. So this root system, do you think that would be a hindrance or a help in learning English? We have morphology in English, and we have root words in English. So again, Arabic is a Semitic language. Do you know the word Semitic? In Hebrew, it comes from Shem, Sham, Baruch Hashem. Shem means name, the name. So Samuel means the name of El, the Holy One, like Allah, something like that. So those are related. So Semitic. It works on a root system. So you have this cluster, these consonants, there we go, consonants, not vowels, consonants, three-part, that from this, you could call it the trunk, you have many branches, and they are all related. So that helps the Arabic brain, that helps the human brain create many words from these this trunk, or even roots, we could say, branching out. So we have this three-letter root, KTB. Remember, we go from right to left. KTB, it's related to the word to write. So from those three letters, consonants, we have all these related words. It's kind of the genius. It's kind of an ingenious system. Kitab, book. Kitab, writer. Maktab, an office, a place where you write. Maktaba. I don't know if I'm saying this right in Arabic, but from a native English speaker, this is how I'm saying it. Maktaba. But you can hear and you can see these are related. They all have something to do with writing, or to write, or a place where you write, or a place where you can find writing. It's an ingenious system. These roots, yaktab, kataba, maktub. Would that be positive or negative, or zero language transfer? What do you think? Or maybe a mix. So here's another example. We know the word in English, a good crossword puzzle word, safari. That comes from the Arabic. It came into Swahili also. We know what a safari is. Well, that comes from the root, the safar, the safar. So we have safar or safra, which means a journey in Arabic. Safira, which is he traveled, or to travel. We would use the infinitive in English. They don't have that in Arabic. That's definitely a negative language transfer. He travels, embassy, ambassador, male or female. Arabic is a gendered language. It's very gendered, like Hebrew. And so that would definitely affect how you say something. But in English, it's not a gendered language like that. We do have some of that a little bit, like actor, actress, but now in English, for political and social reasons, we are getting away from those forms. Even a woman, many women who act are called actors now, and we don't say stewardess usually. We could say air flight attendant, right? We say firefighter, police officer. We don't say policeman. Well, some people still do, but in Arabic, that's kind of built into the language. It's gendered, like it is in Hebrew and Amharic and many Semitic languages. So here, we're looking at plurals. Plurals often involve internal changes. So within the word, not the beginning or ending, not a prefix, not a suffix at the end, but within the word. Arabic also in plurals has a singular plural, a dual plural, a singular form, dual form. That, wow, that is very, very specific and granular in Arabic grammar. Would that be negative language transfer? English, you know English. Book, books, done, singular plural. Table, tables. Glasses, oh, wait, there are some difficulties in English. Glasses, glasses, pants, pants. So a pair of pants, we need a counter in that case. There are many, many irregulars in English, yes, we know that. But luckily for Arabic speakers, those are some of the first words you learn because they are unusual. A case of man bites dog, maybe. We learn the irregular forms quickly as human beings when we're learning languages, lucky us. We learn the irregular forms very quickly, and frequently those are the most common forms. And for plurals in English, we know child, children, a man, men, woman, women, and we know many animals. For whatever reason, animals are also learned very quickly, animal words. So goose, geese, moose, meese. English can be very hard and crazy, but Arabic plurals are very complex. More complex, I would say, than English. So would that be negative language transfer or positive? What do you think? So here's a good ELL tip. English language learners who speak Arabic as a native language, they like and appreciate, I have found, and it's really true, because Arabic morphology is so ingenious and it's such a big part of their language that they really do appreciate working on English morphology. So how do you form words in English? And yes, there are rules. English is not that crazy. It's a language like any other language, and there are rules to form words that we can learn and follow through practice. Instead of memorizing diagrams, although you can give them diagrams too. So English, we have suffixes, prefixes, pre, before, right, the word. We have progressive forms, our ing in past or present or even future. I will be going, I'm going, I was going. So the ing form, the progressive forms. But Arabic speakers, Arabic does not have auxiliaries like that. So you really need to work on that. Many, many, many languages do not have that. French has that to some extent. German has that to some extent. So does Spanish. The Indo-European words do have auxiliaries, but English, we really rely on those. So with your Arabic speakers, we need to practice that a lot. And you do in English. So we have that weird helper do. I read the newspaper every evening. What do you read? So practice those. Prepositions are very, very simplified for an English speaker. In Arabic, they're very simplified. In English, they're much more complex, although there are rules, I would argue, and we will see. So practice singular and plural also with Arabic speakers, as you would with any speaker who's learning English, but maybe especially Arabic speakers, amongst others. So we have our roots and we have shoots, the roots and shoots. So how do they shoot out in English? Here we have that wonderful, interesting word, nonconformist. We can break it down. I know my Arabic speaking students really enjoy this. The more advanced ones maybe, side by side, 3 or 2 and 3 and 4, and the readers, the Challenger series. So a non-conformist, non, negative, not. Conform, con means with, right? Like confrère, someone you work with who's very intimate and close with you. We borrow from the French. So non-conformist, so ist, we have that, right? Violinist, non-conformist. Remarkable, remarkable, so that able makes it an adjective, right? Remarkably, ly, is a standard way in English we form adverbs. So quickly, slowly, remarkably, unremarkably. It can get more and more complicated. That's our Germanic roots, perhaps. We kind of snap on parts of words. And Arabic speakers, I have learned, really appreciate work on morphology. So digital, digitally, right? A digital can be an adjective or an adverb. An adjective, yeah, an adjective, or it can be part of an adverbial phrase, blah, 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 right? It can get more complicated, but digitally, he wrote to me digitally, that would be an adverb in that case with an ly. So Arabic, again, many of the forms in English which are more complicated are simpler in form, at least in Arabic. So you have one word for how much or how many. In English, we make a distinction. We have count and non-count nouns, which we don't need to think of as native speakers, but that is really a hard concept. And not even concept so much. I mean, Arabic speakers are smart enough people to figure that out intellectually, but to use that can be tricky. We need to practice that. So salt, how much salt? How many books? Books, plural. How much salt? How much yeast? How much water? But how many waters? You could say that, maybe more advanced English, right? But we can practice that. Arabic one form covers all of that. Lucky them. Would that be negative or positive language transfer? What do you think? So here we have it. Also, Arabic, like many languages, unlike English, has no indefinite article. There are Indo-European languages which have no articles, like our friends who speak Russian and Bulgarian. There are no articles, and they can be nuclear physicists, and they do fine with no articles. But English, like German, that Germanic language it is, has articles. So we have definite and indefinite articles, and they do make a difference in meaning. So it's not just being fussy. It does have a grammatical difference in English. The book is not a book. So we can work on that. We can practice those. And that is, I would say, I've learned in my years of teaching grammar, that is one of the trickiest forms. Even those small little words like and the can be really tricky to use properly. And I work with women who are born and raised in Russia. Russian is their native language. They know English grammar better than I do. They know how to diagram sentences, and they still, 20 years in America, using English, dreaming in English every day, they still find article use very tricky in English. So for an Arabic speaker where they have no indefinite article, that can be very tricky also. So Arabic has a very complicated plurality or plural system of plurals. They have count and non-count singular and plural nouns. There are mass nouns, there are singular, plural mass nouns. There are count and non-count mass nouns. So it's very, 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 very complex. Even though they only have one word to cover how many, how much, they have many, 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 many forms of the plural, many more than English, in fact. Again, our watchword and theme in English language learning at CMC, and for any English language learning, for any language learning, any, there you go, it's a form. To learn a language, we focus on communication, not perfection. That's important, the most important perhaps. If you can go to Walmart, if you can go to Fairway and order meat, and you're not a native English speaker, and even if you stumble around the grammar somewhat, and the butcher can understand you, good on you. That's the point. Not that we're going to write War and Peace in English. That was even written in Russian, but not that we're going to write a novel in English. And if we do, we can come to that issue another time. But to use everyday English and get your needs met or your thoughts expressed, that's the point. Even if it's not perfect, what would that even mean? Perfect grammar. Even native speakers don't speak perfect English, whatever that would mean. So again, in Arabic, there is no verb to be in the simple present. So it's even more complicated. Like English, Arabic verbs inflect. You have conjugations, they inflect for person and tense, which is time. So I went, he went, they went. She goes to the gym. He goes to the library. So would that be positive or negative language transfer for learning English if you're an Arabic speaker? If verbs inflect for person and tense. Do verbs inflect for person and tense in English? Yes, they do. Although in English it's fairly, I would argue, it's fairly simplified, but also in Arabic you can give successive verbs without marking them. We say we just kind of tack on the verbs. So in English, you can't do that. It makes sense. In Arabic, you can. Arabic verbs follow the same sort of pattern. And I think it's the same, it is the same direction or the same, what do we call? The subject verb object language like English is. The boy hit the ball, the mouse chased the cat chased the mouse. The people read the newspaper, yeah. So we have subject verb object in English. Object, you don't always have an object, but if you do, we're using transitive verbs then, right? I saw her, I bought a book, something like that, a kitab. So Arabic is very similar. It uses that same language order, or parts of language order. It's an SVO language, we could say. Unlike my native people, the Irish is not an SVO language, it's a VSO language. So would that be positive or negative language transfer for Arabic speakers? It's the exact same subject and verb inflection, at least the order is, right? The order. That helps, that does help. And also, of course, like every language, Arabic has its wonderful, wonderful sappy love songs. And this is from the famous, the mother, she's called the mother, Kulthum from Egypt, who sang wonderful, wonderful sappy love songs in beautiful Arabic. You should check it out on YouTube, wonderful. So again, we say the third time, there is no verb to be in the simple present in Arabic. So Arabic speakers, like many language learners for English, need a lot of practice with this. So using it in the simple present, he is a teacher, even the indefinite article we use, and that can be tricky for native French speakers, let's say. They will say, I am teacher, but that's not quite right, but close enough. Again, communication, not perfection. But with our language learners, please do, and you do, practice these forms frequently and often, and every time you see the students. I'm a teacher, you're a student, you're a teacher, I'm a student. She's tall, she's a nice woman. They are the people waiting, maybe, for the table. So we use these, and also the auxiliaries. I am speaking, you are listening, maybe. So practice those forms, okay? Was, were, all those. I am, you are, he, she, it is. So the verb to be in English is a very complicated verb as far as English verbs go. In English, the big dog is in the garden, or a big dog is in the garden. Some dog, a big dog is in the garden, the one we have in mind, the specific garden. There's indefinite and definite article use in English. In Arabic, the garden in big, the dog. Where's the verb? There is no verb. You don't need it. It would be redundant. So would that be negative or positive language transfer? Again, no indefinite article. Why do you need them? My students will ask me, like, they don't add them, they don't need them. They're kind of making English Arabic. They're kind of using the Arabic form in English words. So we need to practice those. In Arabic, you have that famous article al, which is the definite article, but al can become a different form depending on the noun it modifies or you use it with. So be careful. In Arabic, like in English, context will tell you a lot and will help you in what use or forms to use. So that, I would say, is positive language transfer. We always want to look at the context of a form. In Arabic, that with the phonetics, just like in English, we have phonetics. The context will affect how you say a word. Likewise in Arabic. So students can relate to that and understand that very quickly. But because Arabic uses the definite article very differently, like French speakers and Romance language speakers, like Spanish speakers, we use the definite article wrong frequently in English. Although, remember, communication, not perfection. It's not that big of a deal, but it is a deal. A deal. It's not the deal, but a deal. Article usage is tricky. So ELLs, learning English, will frequently say things like, and especially Arabic speakers, say things like, the honesty very important, teacher. The honesty very important for business people. That's true. Yes, you're right. You are right. That's the right response, right? Communication, not perfection. But we can work on that. We can work on that. That can be a goal. Keep that in mind. You don't have to say it. You don't have to write a diagram. But we can practice that. The house, very special for me. We bought last year. We bought before time. Very special for me to have house. Really? Okay. Tell me about that. How big is your house? The dog, the dirty animal. And we know for Muslim people, dogs are dirty animals. They're considered dirty animals. One of the hadiths said Muhammad, peace be upon him, did not like dogs. So dogs are considered dirty animals. I don't know if that's a religious law, but culturally that is true. And friendly reminder, language and learning a language is learning a culture. So language learning is learning about culture. So we learn a culture when we learn a language too, right? And that can be positive and negative. It can make things complicated, interesting when we learn a language. So kind of like English, Arabic does change the form of the verb depending on the tense or the time. I went to the store, I go to the store, she goes to the store. But Arabic, negative language transfer, has no progressives, has no infinitives the way we understand them or form them in English. So we do have, in present perfect, very complicated tense, very often used. I have been to Mexico in English. They have it in Arabic, but it can either be the past or the present. So we need to practice that. And I found those perfect tenses can be very tricky for Arabic speakers. So after and before, there are forms that mean that in Arabic, but they tend to be overgeneralized in when they learn English. So I'll see you after 3 days. Even some Spanish speakers will say things like that. I did this work before 2 weeks, meaning 2 weeks ago. Even some native French speakers will talk like that because it's similar to French to use that kind of form. But we can practice. We can practice that. Negatives, like from any language, Vietnamese or Chinese, and certainly Arabic, need a lot of work in to get the English correct. In English, unlike many languages, we can't use a double negative for, let's say, proper grammar, for standard English. I don't know nothing. We don't say that normally. If you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer, that would be a hindrance. We're not saying perfection, but communication, that would be a hindrance, I would say, to learn a slangier, less formal English. For standard English, let's say, standard news reporter English, for college, university English, which we should aim for, we don't have double negatives in English, and that can be tricky. So in many languages, you do have double negatives, like French, like Spanish, but not in English. So again, auxiliary verbs need a lot of work in English. So we can form questions, see my video, in English, by using inflection. You can raise your voice at the end of a statement, can make it a question. You went where? She went to the store. But it also would imply another secondary layer of meaning, maybe in the English would mean you're kind of questioning the statement itself. Like it seemed you're not believing it. Like, she went to the store? I thought she was going to the park. Why is she going to the store? That's kind of what that would imply, right? So we can use, and many Arabic speakers start with, the using inflection to form a question, but we know that's not the only way to form a question in English. It can be much more complicated. So, aren't you coming? She hasn't, so aren't you coming? That's a yes, no question. We can just start with the verb to be, or the helping verb in that case. She hasn't finished yet. That could be a question, or just a statement. She hasn't finished yet, or she hasn't finished yet. Like, you don't believe she hasn't finished yet, or you're exasperated by that. Hurry up, right? They don't jazzercise at all in general. So there you go. The verb to jazzercise, making a negative. In English, that's very weird form. Don't. Why do we have that don't in there? So that needs practice, work. In English, I didn't go. In Arabic, I no go in the past. So that would be negative language transfer. Work on negatives and auxiliaries, helping verbs. And side by side does that, yay. And you do that when you're chatting with a purpose, yay. You're doing that when you're chatting and using real English with your students, good. That is very helpful. So again, we use inversion, or we use auxiliary verbs or WH words, who, what, when, where, why, or how many. The H word is considered a WH for questions. So the basic ones, who, what, when, where, why. That can be tricky, so practice those. So Arabic questions are marked at the beginning. You know it's a question. Like Japanese, it's marked at the end. You have ka, makes it a question. In English, you can use, again, intonation, inflection to form a question. So many Arabic speakers will just use that, overuse it, which is okay to begin with. Again, communication, not perfection. Even little babies, little kids being raised in Iowa will use that when they're learning English. They're acquiring it as native speakers. You're a teacher? She's a teacher? She teacher? She went to the store? Maybe they will overuse that, but through time they will learn the other forms. So here's our stacking, our unmarked verbs, which is perfectly good Arabic, not so good English. And this one, I would argue, is definitely negative language transfer, but also talk about communication and not perfection. This is not even communicating in English. So this does need practice for Arabic speakers, and probably Amharic and Tigrinya and certainly Hebrew speakers who are learning English. That can be tricky. So in perfectly good Arabic, you can say, I want enjoy sit on the dock now. What does that mean in English? I kind of get it, but what are you saying? You want You want to enjoy sitting on the dock? I mean, it even sounds weird in English when we inflect it. So what exactly are you trying to say? I kind of get it. Those words have sense. They make sense on their own, but we need to be more precise in English. You can't just pile on verbs and make it make sense. We need to inflect them somehow. So we can use gerunds and infinitives. In English, those can be very tricky. That's a more advanced grammar. In Arabic, they don't even have those forms, or if they, the way they form those in Arabic is very different. So that needs practice also, of course. So prepositions are always tricky. They don't really make a lot of sense. In Arabic, there are, I would say, simpler that what I know of Arabic, and certainly in Spanish, which I do know. You just have to memorize them. I mean, that's the tricky and difficult thing. Negative language transfer. Why do we say casarse con in Spanish? You house yourself with, you get married to in English. I don't know. Why do we say it that way? I don't know. But through use and hearing it and practicing it and watching TV and listening to the radio and listening to Beyonce songs, students get eventually, if they hear it often enough and they use it themselves. You get married to, I live in Cedar Rapids, on 34th Street Drive. I work at Amana Whirlpool. So in Arabic, you just have all those prepositions are one preposition. So that would be negative or positive or zero, neutral language transfer. In English, there is a logic, though, I will say. English is not quite as crazy as we native speakers are proud of saying. It's not as crazy in my city, in Iowa, in the United States, in the Western Hemisphere, on planet Earth. So in usually is a larger grouping or place, and on means like physically placed, right? Like on top of, on, like on planet Earth, on the table, on the board, on the screen. And in is like physically in, but it also can be a larger grouping, like in my city, in the room though also. And at, I'm not sure, at work, at play. So those, I know there is a logic to them, and I think they go from larger to smaller, maybe. There is some kind of logic, and we have posters and things. As native speakers, we don't need to know that, the logic of it so much, we just know it. But maybe it would be helpful to bring in for your students those posters, and we practice those forms and side by side, of course, and just everyday English. So again, and always focus on communication, and eventually you will get to perfection, maybe in English, perfecting your communication. So saying what you want to say and writing what you want to say when you want to, that would be our goal. Some other helpful hints for specifically Arabic speaking students. The P, the pa does not exist in Arabic. So students will say the police, everything is ba. So practice, my practice, I will practice English, the police. So we can practice writing from left to right. This is how the page goes in English. I have to remind my Arabic students frequently that, and we need spaces between words unless we're writing in cursive. So spelling is consistent, especially with short vowels. Again, you want to work on prepositions, auxiliary, helping verbs. Negation is very tricky. Infinitives, gerunds, those are more advanced grammar, but even so, when they get to be more advanced students, they need work on that. And again, Arabic speaking students, because they have that, I think one of the reasons they like working on English morphology is Arabic is a very morphological, let's say, to use that adjective, a very morphological language. They have that three-part consonant system. they have their own kind of roots and shoots, and that can transfer to working in English. Roots and shoots, our morphology, a nonconformist that you are. You can work digitally to help your student. All right, well, I hope this was helpful. So can you give me 2 things for Arabic speakers learning English that are positive language transfer? We know there are many negative, difficult hindrances or make things complicated and interesting, but what are 2 specific things, forms or parts of English that are positive language transfer for Arabic speakers, okay? So send that to us at CMC. Thank you. Ciao. Universal. Ciao. Have a good day. Bye-bye.